In this video, we're going to talk about points, lines, and planes and begin to write down some definitions of geometric elements. So first, we're going to start with a point. Now, if I asked you all to draw a point, we would just do this. Draw a point, or that. Or you can draw a point that's a little bit bigger. So these are all points. Points have no size, okay? But a point is an exact location in space or a flat surface. And they have no size, and you cannot measure a point. Okay? And to name a point, we can name it by any capital letter. So I can name this point A, and this point B, and this point C. So we can say point A, point B, point C. So for a line, we all know what a line is, but the definition of a line is that it consists of at least 2 points and extends infinitely in both directions. Okay, it consists of 2 points and extends infinitely in both directions. So looking at this particular figure, we have 2 lines here. We have this line, because it consists of point A and point B, and we have this line, which consists of point C and D. And then I see we have this lowercase capital L up there. To name these points, if I wanted to name the red line, I would name 2 points on that line and then draw a small line directly above those points. So we would read this as line AB. Or you could write it as line BA. Now for the blue line, we could name line CD with that line above it, or line DC. Okay. And then for line BA or AB, notice how we have this lowercase letter in the top corner. Sometimes we won't see points on the line specifically, and we'll just have to name it line L and actually write out the word line. So that's important when you're looking at lines, making sure you know how to write them. Okay, so a plane. This could be new, but if you think about a sheet of paper is a plane. Okay? A plane is a flat surface that has no thickness. And a plane contains points and lines and will extend infinitely in all directions. And to create a plane, you need at least 3 non-collinear points. So we're going to talk about what that means in the next slide. But if we think about a plane, here are 3 examples of planes, right? We have a horizontal plane, we have this vertical plane, and then we have these 2 planes that are a horizontal and a vertical that are intersecting, okay? So we can name a plane by either a single capital letter or by at least 3 of its non-collinear points. So here we have the vertical plane, so I would name this plane P. And then for this horizontal plane, I would name this as plane A, B, C, because points A, B, and C are on that plane. So for this particular plane, notice how these points are on the outside, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can name this plane, and you have to spell out the word plane, RCSX. Okay, so that's the name of this plane. Okay, so collinear points. So collinear, if you're looking at the word co and then looking at linear, linear is a line, co together. So for this particular term, collinear points are points in the same line. Okay, points in the same line. So an example of collinear points, if I have these 3 points, or if I had 2 points that created the line, I added a third point here, so I had x, y, and z. X, y, and z are on the same line, so they are collinear. Okay. And now to draw an example of 3 points that are non-collinear, what if I drew 2 points that are on the same line? Okay, make sure those points are big enough to look at. And I have points A and B. Now, I don't want a point on that line, so I'm just going to place C over here. So we could say A, B, and C are non-collinear. But we could say A and B are collinear because A and B are on the same line. Okay. And if we grouped it together and said C and B, since C and B are just 2 points, we could say C and B are collinear. Okay, so coplanar. So we just learned about planes. Coplanar points are points on the same plane. So if I drew a plane that looked like this, and I have these 3 points, points X, Y, and Z, I'll put a W on there too, we can say all of these points are coplanar. So X, Y, Z, and W are coplanar because they are on the same plane. And then 4 points that are non-coplanar, so if I'm using the same diagram, I could place point A out over there. So I can say point A, X, Y, and Z are non-coplanar. So not on the same plane. Okay, so to describe 4 points that are non-coplanar, just find points that are coplanar and then choose 1 point that is not on that same plane. Okay, an intersection. So an intersection is a cross between 2 things. Okay, so 2 lines will intersect or 2 planes can intersect. So it is a common element among 2 geometric definitions. Okay, so we can have 2 lines intersect. So here are these 2 lines, and notice how these lines intersect in a point. Okay, so 2 lines will intersect in a point, is what we say. And that's what happens when they intersect. And then if we have 2 planes that intersect, like this figure here, we have this horizontal plane and the vertical plane. Notice how the common point here are all of these points along this line. Okay, so 2 planes, okay, a horizontal and vertical plane in this instance, intersect in a line. Okay, those will be the common points amongst those 2 planes. Okay. Okay, so let's go through and do some of these true false. So if I said PF with that line above it, since it has a line, that means it's line PF, ends at P. Do lines ever end? No. Lines never end. Okay. Point S is on an infinite number of lines. And then number 3, a plane has no thickness. Pause the video and try out this too, and then continue to play to see how you did. So for number 2, point S is on an infinite number of lines. So I can have point S there. I can have a line going that way. I can have a line going this way, going that way. I can draw as many lines as I need to through point S. So this is true. A plane has no thickness. This is also true. This is the definition of a plane. Okay. Okay, let's pause the video, try out these 3, and then press play to see how you did. Collinear points are coplanar. So if we have collinear points, will all 3 of these points be on the same plane? So if we're looking at this, we have these 3 points that are collinear, and if these are the 3 points, can they be on the same plane? Yes, true. Do planes have edges? False. This is also the definition of a plane. Right? The planes go on infinitely in all directions. 2 planes intersect in a line segment. So a segment ends. Okay, we're going to talk about line segments tomorrow. But 2 planes intersect not in a line segment, but they intersect in a line. Since planes go on infinitely in all directions, that means that they intersect in a line that also extends infinitely. 2 intersecting lines meet in exactly 1 point. True. Here's a line intersecting 1 point. Points have no size. True. That's by the definition of a point. Line XY can be denoted as line XY or line YX. True. Okay, so here's some classroom exercises you can go through. So pause the video, try out these few. You can do them out loud or however you want to, just to test your knowledge. So pause the video. So here are the solutions for those. So check your solutions to see how you did. Here are some more practice problems. Pause the video, complete these problems. And then let's see how you did, and you can hit play. And here are the solutions for those problems.